Well, in the interest of time, it's exactly 3 o'clock, and I think let's not wait any further because some of you may have plans and other things to do after 4 o'clock. So for those who don't know me, my name is Thami Nkadimeng. I am the message architect, and it's a self-made title just because I have decided to make it my life journey and purpose to build with words, whether it be on stage and at the moment during coronavirus, in front of a laptop to a variety of audiences across the globe. So let's get right to it. I see there's some people who are joining us today who are first-time attendees. So we'll do a quick recap of how the conversations with Women in Mice started. I'll keep it very brief and then we'll get into our chat for today. So lockdown happened to us and I sat back and I thought to myself, hang on a second, there are a lot of opportunities that are happening around. And I think we're somehow forgetting the drive that we had for women and for transformation initially. So there's also, I don't know about you, but I sit here and there's so much negativity around the world. And I wanted us as Women in Mice to have a space where we could chat, where we could bring ideas and not forget that opportunities are out there. And also a platform where we have connections in order to take our ideas to the relevant people for them to actually be accredited and to be noticed in order to take it in future. This is our third conversation with Women in Mice. The first one, we really spoke about ground zero and how the coronavirus has put everybody on leveling ground. It doesn't matter racially, it doesn't matter age-wise, everybody's given an opportunity to start afresh. If you are in a space that you didn't want to be in, you can start afresh again. From that conversation, we then found 5 thematic areas as Women in Mice that we would like to focus on. And that's what our second conversation was based on the education, on the training, on the empowerment, on the upliftment of women. And we have then adopted 2 different projects that we would then be following as a group of Women in Mice and taking it forward. The first one that's really going well, and I'm going to let everybody know so that you can also partake in it, is building a database that will be shared with the Department of Tourism for women-owned businesses. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you do deco, whether it is emceeing that you do, whether it is you own a hotel, a B&B, or catering, whatever it is, as long as it's woman-owned, I'm going to encourage you to please write to me on the email womenintourismsa@gmail.com. I will then send you a form, a standardized form to fill out, and you will be included into that database, just so we can be heard. And a lot of times I hear, we didn't know where to go to find a woman-owned business. So I found this a great opportunity for us to start building our database. So please spread the word as well to your networks to write to this email address to be part of the database. Fantastic. Having said that, there's so much going on, but let us not forget that victory comes in finding opportunity during problems. Yes, there are a lot of problems that are happening, not just in our country, but globally. And I think I do have some people that are joining from different countries. And so I thought, let's engage in conversations with women who have really taken advantage and used the opportunities that they have gotten along the way and found ways to use them, whether it be from their journey at the beginning right up to now, or even during coronavirus and during the lockdown, using opportunities that are thrown their way. What it takes to identify those opportunities. Is it worth it actually uptaking all opportunities that are presented to us? And what do the risks entail within that? We were fortunate enough to then get the three ladies that we have on our panel today. We've got Bronwyn Cadel-DuPont, who is from the CSIR ICC. We've got Lindiwe Rakharebe, who's from the Durban ICC. And we've got Toby Muthabadi, who is from the CTICC. So let's jump right into it with Bronwyn. Bronwyn, can you give us a high-level overview of your journey in MICE? What are the opportunities that were presented in it? Because I feel by speaking about your opportunities, maybe some of the ladies that are on the line and some of the women on the line can find an alignment on opportunities that are presented currently by listening to your story. I'm going to ask you to please unmute yourself and just give us a high-level overview of it.
Thank you so much, Thami. Can you hear me? Great. I actually landed up in this field completely by accident. I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do after school, and I went to work as a receptionist in a very nice new courtyard hotel. We're talking about more than 20 years ago now. And I took that job purely because of the hours. I thought it would be great not to have to work 8 until 5. So we were either working 6 until 3 or 3 until 6, so I could sleep in late or finish early. And that was my motivation around getting into the hospitality industry at that stage, still thinking I was going to find a career path and go and study further once I knew what I wanted to do. Needless to say, as a receptionist in the hotel, there wasn't much to do in the evenings when the hotel became quiet, and it became quite tedious and boring. And I then started to assist the general manager with some of the night audit accounting and reporting, which I found quite interesting, but it still wasn't enough to keep me busy. And I was paging through the newspaper one night, sitting there wondering why I was sitting there for hours doing nothing, and I saw a job advert for the CSR ICC. It was called the CSR Conference Center at that stage. It was the only convention center in the country then, and I didn't even know what a meeting or a convention was. We had a 10-seater boardroom at the hotel, and I mean that really didn't that paled in comparison to this convention center. Anyway, I went for the interview. The general manager at that stage was a lady, fantastic lady, very dynamic. And to my surprise, I got the job as an event coordinator at the convention center. And I went off to work very intimidated with this big building and this big institution. And I fell in love with doing meetings. And I've had 5 different jobs since I've been there. It's never been boring. I've been there for over 20 years. Our industry evolves so quickly, and I think that's what keeps it interesting. But also the fact that every time I got bored in my job, I started to volunteer for other things. And I think that's what's kept it really interesting for me. When I was in the reservations office, I started to do some public relations. So then I moved into public relations, where I started to do some of the marketing, moved into marketing, started to do more business management, moved into the business management side of it. And I think we obviously work in a very dynamic industry, and it's a global industry. So it's very exciting, but it's only exciting if you make it exciting. So if you're just going to work every day for a salary, then you're in the wrong place. If I had to choose again, I would probably take the same career path, but I know that I have a lot of other interests as well, but it's purely because we make our work exciting for ourselves at the CSR ICC, and we keep it challenging. And I think that's what keeps us there. Most of us have been there for almost our whole career, and it's like a family, and everyone is quite proactive in what they do and how they do it. And I think that's the secret of people's success or happiness in their careers, no matter what you're doing, is to make it interesting for yourself and constantly challenge yourself.
So, Bronwyn, I really love that you say you got into it by mistake. How do you identify that getting into something may then open up other opportunities, even though it's through a mistake?
I think it always does, because as long as you're looking for opportunities, you will find them. Even if you go out waitressing or whatever it is you do to keep yourself busy or to earn a little bit of money, there are always conversations that you have with people, extra work you can volunteer for, that will lead you on different paths. So whenever friends, children, or anything say that they can't find a job, I always say to them, just go and volunteer. Or even if you have a job and you're bored, just volunteer for more. Work for free. Make the contacts, learn something new, and it will lead you on a path to something that interests you. It is sure to, because if you're constantly seeking, then you will find.
I think that's quite true. I love that. If you're constantly seeking, then you will find. Given the restraints, however, of us now being, I mean, some people are out there back at work, but some have been cooped up in their houses, maybe just going out for groceries or whatever else they need to urgently since the 26th of March. How do we, maybe just give me 2 different ways that you think are beneficial for people to find those opportunities? How do you go about engaging and finding those opportunities from your home, for instance?
I actually had a very interesting experience during lockdown. Unfortunately not a woman, but a fellow colleague in the industry lost his job at the beginning of lockdown. I also work with a local tourism association, and he immediately phoned us and he said that he knows that we're dealing with a lot, because obviously the industry's in crisis and everyone's looking to the association for assistance and guidance, and can he volunteer? And in volunteering to work with the association office from home remotely, because we're all working remotely, he actually found himself another job. He worked with us, he immersed himself in what the members of the association need, and someone offered him a job. So I think that's the first thing, is don't just sit back and say, oh, the situation is terrible, there's nothing I can do about it. Volunteer, whether it be professionally or personally. One can also volunteer for all of the different social upliftment schemes and social aid schemes that are going on. There's a lot that they need help with, and you will find something to keep you busy, and you will make contacts through that, which could lead to something successful.
Thank you so much, Bronwyn. I'm going to move over to you, Oslindiwe. It's very weird for me to call you Lindiwe. You're Oslindiwe to me. I know there are many opportunities that have probably led you to where you are at the moment. I mean, given your CV, it's quite heavy. Perhaps you could just talk to 2 or 3 doors that were opened up in your journey, and how you took advantage of those doors opening up.
Thank you, Thami. Good afternoon, everyone. Thami, you know, my opportunities opened up in my early days in life. That's where I started, in the financial services industry. And I've enjoyed 30 years working in banking. I always used to say to people, banking runs in my veins. Banking is in my body. And I thoroughly enjoyed being in banking.